All right, somebody sent me a message on YouTube and they were like, hey, I know you have a bunch of houses, but you also mentioned you have apartments. So what was that transition like? Like, how did you actually switch from thinking, I buy houses, I buy houses, I buy houses, to I buy apartments?
This video was sponsored by
Nothing beats being here in person, meeting face to face, and having that energy and that experience live.
What I love about apartments is really the cash flow.
You only have the one building, you only have the one property manager, but yet you have several doors.
I thought you had to have a big bankroll behind you in order to be able to do it. And what I've learned from Whitney and Jason is that that's just not the case.
You can do this, anyone can do this.
It's made me so much more confident as an investor because she's there when I need her for anything.
This is the course designed for ladies just like you to help you move from houses into the lazy lady landlord lifestyle of apartments, which is a lot more money and equals a lot more fun.
The first thing you have to realize is that I started from the bottom, all right? I started buying land and I bought 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces of land before I ever bought a house. And then I started buying houses and I bought 11, 12, 14, 15 houses before I looked around and I was like, let's buy some apartments. And I know people that have jumped straight into apartment investing and they've done really, really well at it. But I'll tell you from my own personal experience, the people that start with houses and then go into apartments, they last longer. Their tolerance for different situations is better. And I encourage all of my girls to do some house deals. And you don't even have to keep the house deals. If your ultimate goal is to own and maintain apartments, multifamily units, then do that. Do that. Do it to it, baby. You don't have to serve time in houses before you can jump straight to apartments. But I do want you to do a lot of house deals. Do some wholesaling. Do some assignments. Maybe do a fix and flip. Because in multifamily, the problems come to you multiple times. And even though maybe the purchase price is the same, the guts and the core of the property are bigger and more expensive to fix most of the time. So I do encourage you to go through a bunch of house deals before you get into apartment blitz or before you get into apartment investing or whatever. And I encourage that simply because that's the way I did it. And I teach from my example, I teach from my experience, and that's how I did it. And it was literally because I was driving around one day. I was actually on my way to the gym. And I've been buying houses and everything been wonderful. And I saw what looked like an empty duplex. And I saw it for 2 or 3 weeks. And it was definitely empty. There was never a car in there. And I was going to the gym early in the morning. This was in 2015. And I was like prepping for the wedding and I was hitting the gym hard. And I one day was coming home from the gym and there was a man outside. And so I pulled in the driveway. I was dirty, I was sweaty, I was in mismatched gym clothes because it was really freaking early in the morning. I mean, I did not look like this. I was a hot mess, literally a hot mess. And the guy that was there turned out to be the seller. And it wasn't a duplex, it was a quadplex. I could see the 2 units up top, but there were 2 more units in the back with back entrances, and they had the most gorgeous view of the mountains. I mean, an absolute $1 million view from all 4 units. And I think it was in that moment that I knew I was destined to be in multifamily investing more than single family investing. Because this man was just like every other seller that I'd talked to on houses, except he had the problem times 4. He owned the house free and clear. He did not have any tenants. It was not listed. And I made him 3 offers, and he took an owner financing offer on that deal. Right there, within 30 minutes of meeting the man, presenting him 3 offers, he chose the owner financing, and we were under contract in 30 minutes before I'd even showered, before I'd had coffee, before I'd put any makeup on, before I'd psyched myself out of doing the deal. I was under contract. And the purchase price was like $120,000. I'd bought a house down the street for $120,000 that was only going to have 1 tenant in it. This was going to have 4 tenants in it. I was going to get 4 times the money on it. Even if the house was renting for $800 and I rented the apartment units for $500, I was still going to come out $1,200 ahead on the same investment with owner financing. No money down, no interest, no payments for 90 days. I found this house, I found this seller because I was driving to the gym and I had my eyes open and I was looking around. I was scanning the situation. I was just trying to help somebody. And in the process, I was able to help myself. So that's why I am doing this video in front of the map. Anybody recognize that place? Well, if you're wondering, all these pegs, all these little things on my map, these are people. The pink pegs are people in First Deal Done Fast. The green pegs are people in Apartment Blitz. The purple pegs are FDDF Plus people. This white peg is, I just started adding people that are in the mindset course. So these are all my people. But this map is also all of the opportunity for you to get into multifamily investing. Because when we talk about getting into real estate investing and we talk about houses, I really like for you to invest in your backyard because you're new, it's fun, it's exciting, and you want to drive by and you want to check on it, you want to do lots of different things. But when we talk about multifamily investing, this whole place is your honey hole. This whole place is open game. This whole map is here for you to start cherry picking deals because multifamily tenants don't care who owns the property. They're probably dealing with the property management company anyway, and they're never going to meet the owner. They do not care. It's apartment people. They don't care who owns it. They don't care who's collecting rent. They just want to make sure that their apartment is safe, it is heated, and the plumbing works. They don't care, and you shouldn't either. Because in multifamily investing, I want you to really go for what makes the most money. Where in the country can you get the biggest bang for your buck? Where in the country can you go and find owner financing deals on quadplexes? Because as much as I love the money in houses and I love the money in apartments, multifamily is about big bucks. It's about getting outside your comfort zone. It's about looking at the entire map and saying sometimes, where would I like to go on vacation? And sometimes it's, where can my money make more money? This whole place is open game to become your honey hole. I don't care if you live in Colorado Springs. There's plenty of apartments to buy in Colorado Springs, but maybe your investment life would be better spent in Little Rock, Arkansas. Maybe you live in Little Rock, Arkansas, and you're trying to move to Chicago. Maybe you could buy a quadplex in Chicago and you live in one unit and rent the other 3 out because you can't afford rent in Chicago. But if 3 people were paying you rent, you could afford the mortgage in Chicago, and in 50 years, you will be so proud of yourself for buying that place in Chicago instead of renting and not having any money come in. Maybe you live in Chicago and it's too cold and the politics are crazy and you really want to move to Tampa, Florida. There's places in Tampa, Florida that you could buy, you could live in, and if you bought 20 units, you could live in one and rent out the other 19 and have plenty of money for passive income so you could go golfing or fishing or whatever you wanted to do and still make your mortgage payment. For me, jumping, up-leveling, growing into multifamily investing, into multi-tenant investing was a mindset shift. It was actually seeing that I don't have to stay in houses, and if I had 50 houses, that would be cool, but that's 50 roofs. That's 50 septic systems. That's 50 KUB bills. That's 50 different places that my contractors have to go to and visit. That's 50 everythings. But I could have 2 20-unit complexes and a 10-unit complex. That's 3 complexes with 50 units. Still have 50 doors, still have 50 tenants, but I might have 1 KUB bill. And I definitely have 1 place that my contractor has to go to. And I have 1 place that I need to tend to. And I have 1 place that I could focus my attention on. Or I have 3. All right, maybe the complexes aren't right next to each other. I'll tell you, I have 16 units. And they make like an L. All right, their parcels actually touch. They're different complexes, but they actually touch. But if I had to send somebody out there, I can send a handy guy and he could look at all 16 units in an afternoon. If you had 16 houses, it would take all afternoon to drive around to them. I know, I tried. I had 19 houses at one time. I'm down to 13 right now. It's a different mindset. It's a different game. It's totally possible, though, if you are in a place where you have a bunch of houses and you just want to get into investing. I'll tell you, I live right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. All of my houses are right here in Knoxville, Tennessee, and all my apartments are east of Knoxville, Tennessee, all the way up to right about here in Morristown, Tennessee. So maybe you do want to stay where you are and just go into quadplexes or get into 20 units or go into other things. Or maybe you're like me and you've paid off most of your houses. Now you got some equity sitting there and you know you could borrow against it to put down on a $4 million apartment complex in West Knoxville. There are some definitions that are different between commercial real estate and residential real estate. There's some math that's different between apartments and houses. But it's mostly in your head. And once your head catches on that you can be a multifamily investor, you don't have to be a single family investor, it's real fun to grow into that new version of you. It's really fun to scale up to that multifamily investor role. The purchase prices a lot of times are the same. It's just the monthly income that's a lot more fun. I've got a bunch of other videos on multifamily investing, multi-tenant investing, and I'd encourage you to check those out. But if you're serious about making this whole place your playground and partnering with other people across the country that are doing deals and making big bucks without having to live next to the property, I can teach you how to do all of that in Apartment Blitz. All of the details are on apartmentblitz.com, and it's super duper fun to get into these big money deals. Y'all let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have any other topics you want me to cover. Drop some comments down below, and I am glad to help you either get into houses or get into apartments. But I'm telling y'all, multifamily is probably your next step. Do a bunch of house deals. But get into multifamily as fast as you can. Don't wait. Don't serve your time for 5 or 10 years. Don't feel like you have to do 50 house deals before you can get to apartment deals. I've got ladies in my mastermind that did their very first deal, very first 2 deals on 2 duplexes. Made $12,000 buying 2 duplexes. Made $12,000 for buying 2 duplexes. So you don't have to serve time in houses. I did, but you don't have to. I went through a lot of lumps and bumps so that you can avoid that. You can jump straight into multifamily, multi-tenant. All right. And multifamily, remember, that could be apartment complexes. It could be trailer parks. It could be office complexes. It could be storage units. It could be a lot of different things in commercial real estate. I'm here to help you though. Let me know what your questions are. Bye y'all.